Okay, y'all, we are on day 4. And so far, we've been talking about spiritual listening, about working with our minds to get through the exam and maybe even get through the night, right? Insomniacs. And also, we've been looking at ways that we might numb our minds instead of giving ourselves and our souls a moment to speak. And so I'm wondering, how did that last examen go for y'all? Did you lean into these uncomfortable thoughts or these uncomfortable moments? And if you did, what was it like? What happened? Did it bring you to a place maybe of resolution, or at least did it make things quieter in your heads for a little bit after you gave your soul a moment to speak? I know we're trying different ways to do the examen, and some might be a better fit for you than others. And so I definitely want you to keep working and experimenting to find your own preference. Not only about the kind of examen you want to do. Do you want to do an audio? Do you want to do something that's written? Do you want to do something in your journal? But also, when you have your examen time, do you do it at night? Do you do it in the morning? Um, so keep looking and keep experimenting. And in our resources today, we have a few journal options that might light up some of you who need a tangible place for your examined thoughts where you can write them out. So take a look at that and keep telling me how it's going. Send me resources. I know some of you are finding some stuff and you think that it might be great to share. I am passing those things along and including them. So send me resources that you find. I think we've got a rich collection of ideas so far. One resource that somebody sent my way this week, and also I believe, Lori Jo, wasn't it you? One of you recommended this to me a while back. Sleeping with Bread. This little book is not a kid's book. I know it even has like illustrations and stuff, but this is one of the best books I read. I think it was 2017 when I read this, and I love it. It's all about the exam, and it's all about how to walk through the exam in your life, how to find a way that works for you, and then also how you can benefit from it, and even sharing your exam experience with others. But one of the main reasons why I love this book is because it talks about patterns. It talks about paying attention to those things that repeat themselves, that keep coming up in your reflection time. Circumstances, decisions, messages. I call them echoes, and I listen really closely for them because I think that the Spirit works by bringing things back to the surface again and again. And so I'm a little bit neurotic about not wanting to miss anything. Maybe I have spiritual FOMO. I don't know. But my spiritual director, she's always reminding me that, Mandy, if it's important, it will come back around. Trust that it will all repeat itself and it will all come back around. And y'all, I have realized, and I'm mellowing out a little bit because I've realized it does. If I miss something, an echo, because I'm having a really busy week, or I'm sick and I'm having a hard time keeping up with things for whatever reason, these echoes really do come back around. I will read it in one book, and then I'll read it in an article. I'll have a conversation about it, and then it'll pop up somewhere else. These things will get my attention. So if you find yourself thinking, oh, there that is again, pay attention, because that might as well be the neon light in the sky that you've been praying for. It's a pattern, it's an echo, it's a message that repeats itself. I want to read real quick something from the Sleeping with Bread book, because they're talking about patterns, and they're talking about when they pay attention to their examen, and when they help each other share their examen time with one another, they can listen and they can help each other find awareness with their patterns. Insignificant moments, when looked at each day, become significant because they form a pattern that often points the way to how God wants to give us more life. That really can happen a lot in those things that are uncomfortable, those areas of rub where, oh, this is happening again. It's something that's bothering me. That is really a growth moment for us. That is really an invitation for us to step into a lesson, a learning area of personal development, or even in a relational development. Those are often strong invitations and indicators of where God wants to give us more life, like this book says. So pay attention, write it down, and also review your writings. Go back and read what you're writing, because we will forget. And actually, this is a Thomas Merton reader. It's A Year with Thomas Merton. It gives like a daily excerpt from his journals. And a couple of days ago, I read he was talking about one of his books was published, and his books they start as notes in his journal, and then they are developed into books, and then they're published. And he was talking about sitting at a reading for one of his most recently published books. If it had not been read aloud to me, I might have forgotten how often I had said all those things, and gone on saying them again as if they were discoveries. For I am aware that this often happens in our life. Keeping a journal has taught me that there is not so much new in the interior life as one sometimes thinks. When you reread your journal, you find out that your newest discovery is something you found out 5 years ago. Still, it is true that one penetrates deeper and deeper into the same ideas, the same experiences. So he's paying attention and he's writing it down, and he's also realizing that these things repeat themselves. These experiences come up again and again. So write it down and then read it, and let these patterns speak to you. Cultivate attention and awareness through your reflection time, and watch for those things that keep coming up. If it's important, it will repeat itself. These echoes and these patterns, they are talking to us, y'all. And I want to be a person who listens. I want to be a person who is an active participant in her life and in her spiritual growth. And so listening and paying attention is one of the most important ways we can do that. So if this talk about patterns is connecting some dots, and you're already noticing some echoes and some things emerging, if you can share, I'd love to hear about it. And also, how's your sleep doing? How's your mind doing if you're giving it time to reflect and rest? And also, share any thoughts and questions in the comments. Let me know how it's going. I'm really enjoying reading these comments with y'all, and interact with one another too, right? So that's what you've got for today. Look for patterns, listen for patterns, and you'll hear from me again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.